Hello everyone, welcome to Basically Neda. I am Neda, and in this video I'm going to talk about nkjemisin books. So in this video I'm going to talk about the nkjemisin novels, not any of her other works like her graphic novels or anything else. So let's just get right into it. And I'm going to start with everything that are published by the year that it was published. Earliest would be the Inheritance Trilogy, and the first book of that is The 100,000 Kingdoms. This one was published on early 2010, and it is about a girl who lives in a different part of this majestic ground, that she is an heir to her grandfather's throne, her grandfather being her mother's father. She has grown into her father's city, and she has grown in the earth side of this story, where they see it as the barbarian side, and she now goes to her mother's side, which is the sky city, and her grandfather is the king of this realm. This is not your typical fairy tale story. There's friendship, vengeance, cruelty, and a lot of politics embedded into the story, and love and embracement of each character, and everything that comes with all of that. It is about gods and goddesses, not your typical fantasy novel. It made me want to, like, the plot and the story made me want to read faster and want to know more about the story. It was that good for me. So I gave it a 5-star when I read it. And you can actually start with this one if you want to start an N.K. Jemisin book. This one would be a nice one to start with. So let's go to the next one of this trilogy, which is The Broken Kingdom. This one was also published in 2010, but it was published a little later in the year, November of 2010. This one doesn't have the exact same plot line, like it doesn't go from the same storyline as 100,000 Kingdoms. It is following a different point of view, and it is about a female character point of view who is basically blind, and she witnesses one of the godlings being murdered, but she's blind, so she doesn't really know who did it or how it happened. She just saw that something, like, felt something happen and heard a bunch of stuff. So that's when the story starts. There is a lot of politics and relationship in this one as well. It is about godlings, and a lot of the characters that are in the first book are present in this book, but they're not focused on in this book. It is the main characters are fully different characters. So if you wanted to start reading this, you can without reading the other one. I felt like when I was reading this one, I felt that this was going a little slower than the other book of this trilogy. Like in The 100,000 Kingdoms, you would want to know more about the magic system and the characters and everything that comes with all the plot. In this one, there's so much emphasis on the characters that the plot is going very slow. And I found that this one wasn't as much fun to read for me. It's just, I like the fast pace of the plot. It was okay. It's not the typical ones that I normally read, but it is still N.K. Jemisin, and it's still giving you the same kind of writing that she does. And it was good. I gave it a 3-star out of 5. It's just it didn't take my attention as the other one. So the third one in this trilogy is The Kingdom of Gods. This one was published in October 2011, which is almost a year after the second one. And we follow one of the godlings, which is CA. And it is about his story, him facing immortality and mortality and what will happen to him. There are some like emotional parts that was very long and it just explained too much about it. This was also the same way as the other book, the Broken Kingdom. The way that it was written is more character based in this one as well. I think it's because she had already shown us the magic system and all of the world in the first book, so she has probably decided to put more point of view into the characters and expand on the characters more rather than the storyline of the plot. So if you actually want to read this one, just start with this one. You can as well. There are some characters from the other books, but I would say if you want to start with this one, you still can. You don't have to read the other 2 books to be able to just read this one. So after this, there is the Dream Blood Duology. The first book is the Killing Moon, which was published in May 2012. This book focuses more on the politics. It's not very plot driven, I would say. And I really didn't like this one as much as all the other books that I have read from her. This one is more like, if you have a task, then go get that task, basically. So let's explain what this book is about. The peace is law in this world, and there are dream goddesses who go into dreams and heal each person in their dreams. But at this point, there are people who are being murdered in their dreams, and something is going wrong. Obviously, someone is murdered, like a goddess is murdering somebody, I guess. So you get to learn what is actually happening. It's another mystery. If you like Dune, you might like this one. That's what I'm gonna say about it. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the way that the plot goes, and it emphasizes more of what the laws are instead of the actual story and what we should like. The plot didn't go really fast for me. This one I give it 3 stars. So it is the first book, so if you want to read it, go ahead. And yeah, the second book is The Shadow Sun, and it was published in June 2012. This one I haven't read because I didn't really enjoy the first book, and this one picks up from the first book, so you have to read the first book in order to be able to read this one. Yeah, I haven't read it, so I can't really say much about it. It just, I know that it picks up at the end of that story what happens to the end of the first story, which is the Killing Moon, and then it goes into the Shadowed Sun. And then the next set of trilogy that was published is the Broken Earth Trilogy. The 5th season was published in 2015. Let me just read the first 2 lines of this book in the prologue, like literally opening first page, and this is what you read. Let's start with the end of the world. Why don't we? get it over with and move on to more interesting things. That just made me want to read it so much. It is dystopian, mystery. It's fantastical. It was so good. There are 3 POVs in this. The first one is a woman who's in her 40s. She comes home and sees her son has been murdered. Her daughter is nowhere to be seen, and their stuff has been gone. Her daughter's stuff is gone with her husband's stuff. So she's thinking that her husband has taken her daughter and maybe he has killed her son. And then the second POV is a young preteen girl who is sent away with these people are called guardian. She's sent away with this guardian to a special school for origins. Origins are people who have special abilities in this world. And then the third POV is a woman in her 20s who is an agent who works for these, I guess you would call it like otherworldly people, like the origins. She's an origin as well. She's working to solve a case. She gets assigned to an older agent to go to this city that has something has occurred and they have to go fix it. It is written in second person, as in like, you have done this, you will do this kind of thing. And there's third person in it. A lot of people don't like the you part, the second person, but it makes a lot of sense once you read this book, and then will understand why it is written in the you. I could not put this book down. This book was one of my favorites, and I actually did start with this book for nkjemisin books. I started with the 5th season. It is so good. The magic system is so good. The plot line, the character building, everything was so good. I can't praise it so much anymore. Just try it. I gave it a 5-star when I first read it. I might start reading it again just so I get the same feeling again, but it was really good. And then the second book in this trilogy is The Obelisk Gate, which was published in 2016. And in this one, we are following the same characters to see what happens in this world, how to fix the world, basically, and what is happening with these characters. It was also captivating. It was the same kind of thing, relationship, politics, magic, things that just makes me want to read it. But you do have to read 5th season first and then go into Obelisk Gate, because then you'll be lost. You can't just pick up the Obelisk Gate and then go, oh, I don't know what's happening. So you read the 5th season first. I did give this one a 5-star as well. So the last book of this series is The Stone Sky. It was published in 2017. We get to see what happens at the end, why all these things are happening, and we get a nice ending to all of these characters that we met in the first book. We also get to know why there is the second person writing in here, why it was written in you. It makes so much sense after we read this one. It was so good. I gave it a 5-star as well. You cannot pick this one up without reading the other 3 books. The next book that was published is actually her collection of short stories, which is How Long Till Black Future Month. It was published in 2018. It has all of her short stories in there. And if you want to get a taste of what her writing is, you can pick that up. It's not in the big, huge novel form, so you're just getting bits and pieces. Not all of them were really good, but they were okay. And yeah, I would say if you want to start and you don't want to read the whole book, then start with that one. And then after this one that was published, it was the Great City Trilogy, which is, the first one is The City We Become, published in 2020. In City We Become, there are avatars for each city, and they have to protect the city from evil. This is based on in New York City. It is in New York City, and New York City has multiple avatars, 5 to be exact, 5 for each borough of New York City, and they all have to find each other in order to survive and help save the city. It is basically a love letter to New York City and her love of video games and how she loved them both. If you like that kind of thing, you can start with this one as well. This one was also very good. It just wasn't what I wanted it. There's more character building in this one than the plot, which is not what I like. I like the plot-driven storylines more than the character building. But it was okay. It was her typical writing. It was the only thing that got me was the fact that I had to go and Google certain things because I've never been to New York. So if you have been to New York, this might be a good book to read. That part was the part that got me. So I gave it a 4-star. And I think I have a review. I did have a review for it. I think I finished it in July. Or did I just finish it? I don't remember. I'm sorry. It's one of my earlier videos. You will see what I said. So yeah, and then the next book into this series I haven't read, which is The World We Make, and it was published in 2022. It takes from the first book. It picks up from the first book, and it's just trying to fix the world basically with the same avatars and everything. I haven't read it. I might read it later, and you'll see what my thoughts about it is. But out of all these novels, the best one to start with is the 5th season, in my personal opinion. If you like a lot of character-driven storylines, then you can start with the other ones. But the Broken Earth trilogy, it was so good. It was just, you can't find something like that in any other sci-fi or fantasy books. It's the way that she writes is so good. Anyway, I rambled on and so long. If you have read any of these books, feel free to comment down below and let me know what you think. If you haven't and you want more help, let me know down below as well. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you really want to help my channel. If you like this video, please press the like button and press the subscribe and notification button. That's it. Sorry. Thank you. Bye.